Hello, my name is Jason, and in this episode of VFX of Call Night Moon, we're gonna make stuff move. Maybe some of you have a question. Here is a good looking model that I did. I want it to move. And even sometimes you know the principles of keyframing and rigging and how it works, but you are not able to add the charm to your character. This is in episode 12 of VFX of Call Night Moon. All you need to know about animation. Who did that?
I did.
Don't you see that I'm recording the show?
Listen to me. Don't ruin the
show.
Me in the fucking short comedy video.
Get out!
I want to be in a
Get
VFX
out!
of Call Night Moon.
Fuck. He's not dead, but he will not disturb us anymore. Okay, so before animation we need to understand the principle of motion in terms of computer technologies. What you need to come up with in the end is the video file containing the model that performs some action, or a file for a game that will render video in real time straight to the screen. In the end result we don't have motion, it's just a bunch of static images that change each other fast enough to create the illusion of motion. This is video. You can ask now, wait a second, so you mean that I need to individually render a lot of frames, frame by frame, with little changes in them to make the animation? Actually, yes, if we're talking about classical animation or stop motion animation. But in computer, we can cheat. The most commonly used way to cheat called keyframes. It's when you set position A and position B in some particular places on a timeline, and the computer calculates all the frames that needed to be in between. The timeline is the most important part of the animation. Let's choose for example the frame 40 and lock here a keyframe. For this I'm gonna press I in the viewport and choose what kind of keyframe to lock. This time it's gonna change the location, so location's gonna be our choice. Then let's go to frame 80 and lock here another location keyframe when the cube is in different place. Now if you will hit play, cube gonna change his location from the frame 40 to 80, exactly as the keyframes that we locked. Also, if you have a graph editor open, you will see the curves changing its altitude between the keyframes. This particular example we can see three curves that represent x, y and z locations of the cube. And only x curve is changing its altitude, because the x location value is the only one that changes. In the graph editor you can also manually adjust the curves and it will affect your animation. Same thing we can also do with other values. For example the rotation. I'm gonna add new monkey and make it look at the cube. I will lock the rotation keyframes instead of location keyframes and monkey will rotate. Same thing we can do with scale. Now let's delete the sheet and add some random object that will have all three location, rotation and scale animated. I'm gonna use lock rock scale for this. It's locking all three times of keyframes in one click.
Motherfucker,
Shut up! I'm recording an episode!
But fuck, it hurts!
Go get some
I'm
medicine.
gonna get roll here.
Do you wanna get another bullet?
Do you have a
Shut
bullet?
the fuck up! Don't disturb me, I'm recording!
You know what? I'm getting out of here.
Oh my god. So, where we were... Another way to cheat in creating animation is a graph editor. I already mentioned that we can do manual adjustment in it, but it also can do a lot of other stuff. For example, you can press Shift E and choose Make Cycle. It will make selected curve cycle. The curve shape will repeat itself. Or you can do Shift E linear extrapolation, which gonna continue last part of motion forever. Every curve also have different types that you can change depends on animations you need. To change the type you press V. For example, the default one, which makes a soft smooth motion between the keyframes. It will start slowly, get fast in the middle and finish slowly. Vector on the other hand will have a robotic feel, because it will have the same speed the entire motion. Automatic type is there to basically ruin your animation. In some particular cases it's helping though. And free type basically doing nothing, but it gives you more manual control over the shape of the curve. Another good way to ruin your animation is curve modifiers. They're accessible in Properties panel from the right. You can open it by pressing N. I know the 3 modifiers that works, all the rest of them are complicated functions that even developers don't understand. So let's see the 3 that works. There's a build function that ignores that you had any animation and just draws some waves. Cycles, that is absolutely the same as shifty function that I mentioned earlier. And the noise, that it's kinda cool. It has functions that changes the shapes like frequency and volume, and also it has restrict frame rate, which is where you limit the modifier to be in some particular place on the curve. Okay, there is another way to make stuff move. For example, using physics. We can use rigid body simulation to make stuff fall and collide. But all of those, they need their own explanation separately. I already made one about cloth, and the next episode will be about hair dynamics. Gonna go get some tea.
The motherfucker is gone and left his computer here. He don't know what the motherfucking shit waiting for him, or something much cooler than his fucking gun. What is this? Do not tell him.
Here I'm back. Another cool tip that you can think about is animating any value in Blender, like colors of stuff, seed of cycles, noise, anything. You can just simply put your mouse at the value and press I. What the fuck? This cost me like 15 bucks. Anyway, what if you have not a static object but a body of a character or a face? You cannot keyframe location of individual vertices. Really, I don't know why. But there is a function that can help you with it. It's called shape keys. I will quickly explain you how it works. Let's add 3 shape keys. The first one will be the base for calculation, so keep it original or weird stuff will gonna happen. Then you can add as much as you want shape keys. I'll call one of them smile and the other one bros. I select the smile and go to edit mode, make the face smile. Then back to object mode, I select bros, and again in edit mode I make something with its bros. Ooh. So each of them has a value. These values are animatable. As I already told, you can lock the keyframe of the value by putting the cursor on the value and pressing I. Also, you can make a rig to your character, but it's a tough topic, so I made a separate video about it. That's a lot of separate videos I did. Now when you know how to animate, how do you add the charm to your animation? Talking about charm, first thing you need to know is timing. We already know that video is a set of pictures that run one after the other to create the illusion of motion. For to make a good timing, you need to decide in what speed those pictures gonna change. In other words, how much frames per second is the animation. This video is 24 frames per second, means in a second it changes 24 pictures. The standard of games is 60 frames per second, and the standard of cinema is 48 or 24. So when you have the amount of frames per second, you need to set those in Blender, so it could make a necessary calculation to help you to... Fuck! I'm sorry, however that was... If you press Ctrl T in the timeline, it will show the time in the seconds instead of numbers of frames. It's a first step to make a good timing. Second step is experimenting, changing the position of keyframes manually if the time seems a little off. Oh my god! Yeah.
Do you know who's this?
Ah, the motherfucker, come on! I'm recording the damn tutorial! I'm sorry. So you change the positions of keyframes until the speed looks great. Actually, sometimes it will be tricky, because if you have a slow computer, sometimes it will not be able to run the animation in required frames per second. You have a frame dropping function in the timeline that can help you if the slowdown isn't too hard. Or if the animation is incredibly slow, you always can render it in OpenGL to a video file and then watch it in a normal speed. I also suggest using video references, especially for timing. When I tried to make this tutorial for the first time, I thought I can do it, but to be sure, I made 2 test animations. Those. I posted them online and had a feedback that I should check 12 principles of animation. What I did. This is like a guide for traditional animators, how they can bring life to their characters. If to remove all the stuff that Blender makes automatically, we're left only with 6 principles. But surely check the rest, I'm gonna leave the link in the description below. Those 6 are squash and stretch, anticipation, staging, follow through, second reaction, and appeal. Squash and stretch means exactly what it sounds. Don't leave the shape of the moving objects to be static, but squash and stretch it to make it feel more alive. Anticipation means prepare the audience to the motion that will be next. Staging is something like composition, make the audience understand what they see. Follow through means use physics, make the object to appear as heavy as it needs to be. Secondary reaction means that it's good to make more than one thing happening at the time. And appeal means basically make it awesome. If it's not awesome, it's not good enough. Now when you know how to make an animation and you know how to make it charming, I'm gonna quickly explain you how did I make the scene from the Call Night Moon music video.
Hey, what the fuck?